Welcome back to Wall Again, where passion meets music, and we're in for another season here with Eric of album reviews. How you doing, Eric?
Let's crack, Rob. Happy New Year. Hope all is well.
Same to yourself, man. Many happy returns. I see you've traded in the Pink Floyd t-shirt for a Led Zeppelin t-shirt.
That's it, man. I had to sell all of my t-shirts to pay for my how many albums? Seven new t-shirts. So
And did you have many Led Zeppelin vinyl in your collection?
I have all the classic albums. So I call them the first four or five albums in my vinyl collection.
Cool.
They're the ones I'm most passionate about in terms of the Led Zeppelin stuff. So
Yeah, cool, cool. I suppose as we work through these albums, you never know. You'll be streaming them, and you might think,
sure, they're already in my basket on Record Hub, you know.
oh, you just got to press the green button.
Exactly, man.
For sure. So yeah, so we did obviously we did the Pink Floyd season last year. And that was very enjoyable, absolutely brilliant. Really loved it. And we did a ranking from our least favorite to our favorite album. So the plan over the next 8 or 9 weeks is to run through the Led Zeppelin albums, an album a week. And when we get to the end, we'll rank them and see how we stand. So obviously Pink Floyd is one of your favorite bands, Eric, if not your favorite.
Yeah,
Led Zeppelin is one of my favorite, if not my favorite. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, it's going to be interesting. This one, I'm going to be really loving these reviews now.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Well, I am a big fan of Led Zeppelin as well. I do love their stuff, especially the early stuff.
Yes, yes, and of course, a lot of people know we used to play in a band together, a covers band called Raga, and then we sort of morphed into Rockerfellas was our second name. But we had many Led Zeppelin songs in our set, and we
Oh,
played many Led Zeppelin songs in the garage, practicing and rehearsing. Some of them didn't make it to stage, but we had great fun.
oh yeah, man. Definitely. Yeah, those early years. Playing those covers really got me chops with playing drums. I remember we done rock and roll, whole lot of love, heartbreaker at one stage, dazed and confused. These we've probably done all the big kind of Led Zeppelin hits.
Immigrant song, I remember. Had a
Immigrant song. Yeah,
couple. Absolutely. So I'll just run through a quick introduction on the band. So look, most people know who Led Zeppelin are. Certainly people watching my channel. But obviously Jimmy Page started off in a band called the Yardbirds. So this is just a compilation album I have. So obviously within the Yardbirds, Eric Clapton was the guitar player. He left to go on to John Mayall. He was replaced by Jeff Beck. And then Jimmy Page came in on bass for a period of time. Jeff Beck left the group to form his own band, and Jimmy wanted to continue the group, but they disbanded, and Jimmy decided to start a band called the New Yardbirds.
that's
And Jimmy
right.
was like a session engineer and guitar player, and played on the Who's records and stuff like that. He was just known as a session guy around London. And Jimmy decided that he wanted to start his own band. He was going to call it the New Yardbirds with John Paul Jones, who he knew from the London circuit. And he needed a singer, so he got in touch with Robert Plant, who was based up around the Midlands in Wolverhampton. And Robert Plant said, "Look, do you want to take the drummer from my band as well? His name is John Bonham." And that was it. That was the four piece. And Keith Moon famously said to Jimmy, "This new project is going to go down like a lead balloon."
That's right.
We
Yeah.
decided to use that and change balloon to a Zeppelin and call it Led Zeppelin. So that's where we get to 1968, went into the studio and they recorded this masterpiece, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's it there.
Very beautiful on the vinyl. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. And the back is class as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
What a debut album. For yourself, any band coming on the scene, but like this is an incredible debut album, I think.
This shook up rock and roll in the 1960s. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, like I'm basing all this on what I read and documentaries, etc. But I'm a bit of a Led Zeppelin nerd. And I love Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck as well. But like around that era, there was no bands making music that sounded like this.
Yeah.
I know Black Sabbath were there in their early days and Deep Purple as well. But Led Zeppelin were totally different.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Elements of folk, elements of country. Obviously there was rock and roll in there. There was blues. There was
Full.
heavy rock, early metal, you might
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
They had it all, and it was all in this album as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. They're innovators from what they've done, and each member of the band brought their own superpower to what was Led Zeppelin. Like, I'm a drummer. John Bonham, he's up there. He's probably one of the greatest drummers of all time, in my opinion. People probably say other, but he's just incredible. And I mean, let's talk about that opening song, "Good Times, Bad Times." I mean, like showing off your technical skills as a musician from a drumming perspective. John Bonham starts off and he's like triplets and all on the right foot. It's just unbelievable. Like,
So let's just explain that for people that mightn't be drummers. So traditionally, if you're a drummer, your left foot is on the hat to keep that open and closed,
yeah, that's right.
and your right foot is on the bass drum, the kick drum.
Yeah, the kick drum.
Okay.
Yeah, so with his right foot would be doing the kick drum, and normally you do like a single kick drum. You step your foot like that. But
Yeah.
John Bonham is doing, he's doing triplets. He's doing like three hits at a
Okay.
time, and he's like, so you hear that like, bam, 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 he's kicking his foot like that, like a double bass pedal, but he's a
Yeah.
single pedal.
So I was listening to the track today, and I was like, you would swear that's a double bass pedal, but I know they didn't exist, or
Yeah.
certainly he didn't use it.
Well, they probably prototypes, back in the day, but yeah, he's classic rock drummer, like Bonham, and like innovated a lot of that kind of style that you will hear in rock music. All of his fills, those triplets on the kick drum, he's very much an innovator of the drum sound, anyways. And
Absolutely.
like there's other drummers like Ian Pace, and
Yeah.
so many other like what's his name from
Ginger
Black
Baker,
Sabbath, Ginger Baker,
Bill Ward.
Bill Ward. That's his name.
Yeah.
Like they all had their own superpower, but Bonham was certainly he was a beast on the drums.
Okay. And just so on this one, Good Times, Bad Times starts off with that everyone, like guitar and drums, are doing this kind of a riff. And
Yeah,
then we get into the riff by Jimmy Page. But the way Bonham is propelling that riff, he's kind of he's got a lot of swing
yeah,
in that
yeah,
first track.
yeah,
It really makes you want, he's got a way of coming in. It's just behind the beat on the snare, is it?
yeah. I mean, he's just bringing his own flavor. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm sure there's other bands out there that have done their own thing with like drum rolls and stuff like that. But Bonham was just like he's just a beast. Like, I mean, he's just all these like flams and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Which weren't very common for that type of music, especially in the late '60s. Like
Yeah.
they were bringing that stuff in. And then you have all this explosion of similar style music, and they're all influenced by each other. You've
Yeah.
got Bill Ward, you got John Bonham, you've Ian Pace, you've all these Savage drummers, and they're all of the same sound and technique and rhythm.
Hmm.
It's just fantastic. Like a great era of music, in my opinion.
And like this song was in 4/4 time. It's in common time.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not it's not straight. It's anything but straight.
yeah,
He is
yeah.
trying to deviate as much as he can, but deviating. But as you know, in a rock band, you still got to keep that momentum
Keep the
going.
backbone. Keep the
Yeah,
backbone. Keep the rhythm going.
it has to be
And
solid.
yeah,
Even though it's
exactly.
irregular, it has to be solid. And
Yeah.
I think he nails it on this track.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like I mean, it's one of their best songs, and it's
Yeah,
it's also their very first song on
yeah.
their first album. You know, what I mean, it's like
It's a very
how
much
does a
right.
band do that? They just land an ace in a hole, and that's exactly what they done with that song. Like,
And then in very much Led Zeppelin style, it's like you're expecting another rocker, and they say no, we're going to take you somewhere else, and they play. Now at the time I don't think they gave credit to the original composer of this song. So the second song was Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. I think the original composer is Anne Breeden. I think originally they didn't put her down as a songwriting credit, but later on,
yeah,
they did give her credit for it.
yeah,
I've listened to that original song by Anne Breeden. It's a folk song. It's a beautiful song. I think they're very they sort of honor that song. They don't change it too much. Obviously, the guitar is a lot more intricate with Jimmy Page,
yeah,
um, but then they add on this like it's like heavy metal, really, isn't it? When it gets into
yeah,
that heavy chorus.
yeah, yeah. He just kicks in with his bass melter guitar solo, like it's just classes.
Yeah, yeah, and again, the drums are key in that one because they take it. It's just, like that song. It's like a folk song, but it's a heavy metal song. You know,
Yeah,
You know,
You have to talk as well about like Robert Plant and his style as well because it's not just the two lads. It's not just like Jimmy Page and John Bonham. That's a guitarist and a drummer talking, but
mm.
you have to listen to like the vocalist and the bass player for that matter. Like what I mean. But like the lyrics, the style that Robert Plant sings in. Not every song is the same. He can sing very high. He can sing very low. He can sing very rhythmic as well. And his lyrics then they're just completely out there. Very kind of folklore. He just on their later albums, like some of the albums were inspired by like Lord of the Rings. That style. It's all mythological and stuff. So he's a fantastic songwriter.
He was way ahead of
Yeah,
a lot of the songwriters at the time. There's no doubt
yeah.
Robert Plant.
He went into the studio, what I mean, with Led Zeppelin. Now I know like Jimmy Page, like he funded the first album, but like he had the vision. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he wanted. He knew how to put space and air into the songs.
Yeah,
And you have to admire that as well. It's not all just about drums and guitar and bass. It's about giving the song some vocal and some space as well. So credit you and Rob. We were lucky enough to see him as well. Like what I mean, there and how
yeah.
many years was it?
It was 2017. It was in
Yeah,
December up in
yeah.
the
Or God,
Gorgosh Arena
yeah.
in Dublin,
Class,
and it
class
was
gig.
Plant playing as his solo band, and I think he played about 5 or 6 Led Zeppelin tracks on the
He
night.
did, yeah, he did. Yeah, I was actually going through my phone there. I had videos up and playing a whole lot low at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah,
phenomenal. What an experience to be in the same room as Robert Plant,
yeah,
and his band. Like it was phenomenal. I've been lucky enough, Eric. I've seen John Paul Jones at. I think you were at that gig as well, the Download Festival
yeah,
in England.
yeah. Them Crooked Vultures.
Them Crooked Vultures, yeah. Saw him
Yeah,
playing with them, and I actually saw Jimmy Page in London. He
yeah,
wasn't playing a gig; he was doing an interview for the Guardian, and I
yeah.
managed to get 2 tickets. And myself and my brother went to see him, and
That's,
I was praying that he'd pick up an acoustic guitar and do something, but he didn't. But even just to be in the same room as Jimmy Page was uh,
yeah,
special, like you know.
yeah. And I met John Bonham as well when I was reincarnated back then.
Well, I've seen Jason a few times. Does that count?
Yeah, Jason Bonham, man, he's something serious as well, isn't he?
Fantastic, fantastic
Yeah,
drummer. Yeah, I love Babe, I'm gonna leave you. And then they come in with a track called You Shook Me. Now, this one again is another cover by Willie
yeah,
Dixon originally, and there was stuff over the credits. I don't think they gave him credit originally. Um, to be perfectly honest, Eric, it's a blues song. It's a 12 bar blues.
yeah,
It's a cover. Like there's other bands have done 12 bar blues better,
yeah.
that this
Oh yeah,
version.
yeah, yeah,
To me, I honestly listened to it really hard today. Like Robert Plant has a great harmonica solo in the middle, right? That's something. And on the Hammond organ, you've got John Paul Jones has a fantastic Hammond organ section
yeah.
there in the middle of solo. But like for me, it just sucked the life out of the first 2 songs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There are some like the album is not flawless, but there are some dipping points. But you have to remember this is their very first album. Like they
First album,
they
yeah.
really do build on that momentum in the next couple of albums.
Oh,
But
for sure. And I'm thinking like Led Zeppelin have some perfect albums. So when we
yeah,
do our rankings,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just I just want to be fair. Like uh,
And then on to Dazed and Confused, which is
Dazed and
just an
Confused.
absolute tune. I
They,
was actually reading on Wikipedia there. Is that a cover? Because like there is a song that they and it sounds almost like Dazed and Confused as well. Maybe they took some elements of this other cover. But I love Led Zeppelin Days of Confused. I love that song. It's just an incredible song. I particularly love it as well because I was obsessed when I was a teenager. I used to work in a hardware store. I sold TVs, but I had this DVD on constantly.
oh yeah, that's a great one.
while I was selling the TVs and selling the whatever, I
Yeah.
had Led Zeppelin on, and I was always watching the live at Albert Hall 1970. They do a version of Days Confused and that, and being a drummer,
20 minutes long.
it's amazing, man. It's just incredible. The technique of everybody is just amazing.
I never forget we were jamming back in the day, and we were a cover band, and we were playing gigs, and we were getting bored of the set list. And I had watched The Song Remains the Same, the Madison Square Garden gig from
That's,
1973.
Yeah, absolutely.
and Dazed and Confused is on that, and I think it's like 13, 14 minutes long. And I came in and I just started playing the riff, and that was it. The whole band just locked in, and even Shawnee, like and we played that song for like a half an hour, and like it was just transcendent, wasn't it? It was magical.
Ah, yeah.
I just
When
got
you when
lost in the music.
That's what I love about Led Zeppelin. Like, it sounds very complicated, but it's very much like they're a guitar band. You know,
Yeah,
you can get away with guitars, drums, bass, and a singer. You know, and you could do a good cover of a Led Zeppelin song. You know, that's what I really love about them. You know, and
yeah.
it's a raw sound. You
I
know, it's
don't
not
look.
over.
I don't think we sounded that good now, but we
In
had
my head.
fun. We had fun. I remember getting your drumstick, um, one of the drumsticks you weren't using, you had spares,
I
and
doing the Jimmy
using that
Page.
as the bow.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just we were all in sync, and then we'd wink, and it would be be into that like that bass riff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. What a song. What an unbelievable song.
Stab song. Yeah, I love it.
Like it has to be one of the best hard rock songs of all time.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, it definitely is, man.
And it takes you up, takes you down, the emotion of it and everything. Like it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. And then we have song number 5, Your Time Is Gonna Come. Um yeah, it's okay. Like it's fine. It's led by the organ by John
Yeah.
Paul Jones.
Yeah. I actually like the song now, I have to say. I really like that song.
Yeah, it's okay. Like and that one was actually credited Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones. And then of course Black Mountainside, which is an acoustic guitar um
Yeah.
folk instrumental, and yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. It is fantastic. Jimmy Page at his best.
Yeah.
Not much on the drums, but
Not much in there now, not much, but it's still a class song. Again, you can stick this album on and, you know, you're cooking dinner or whatever, and
yeah.
it just works well, you know. It's an album you'd listen to from start to finish and you wouldn't have to
Yeah.
skip a song. So
And then we go on to Communication Breakdown,
great
which
tune.
which is unbelievable.
Yeah. I
Um,
hear like elements of like, I know the Police came way later, but you know, I can hear elements of the early Police stuff. Um,
okay.
Obviously the Police kind of replicated that sound. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just maybe when I listen to obviously the drums, you
Drums,
know,
I think, yeah, the complexity.
it's like always on that kind of accents. You know, it's very. Stu Copeland was probably inspired by John Bonham, anyways.
Certainly the groove, in terms of groove.
Yeah,
Like there's not many would touch John Bonham. And then it finishes up with I Can't Quit You Baby, which is another Willie Dixon cover. So look, I suppose on this album they were probably trying to find material to fill 40 minutes, two sides
yeah,
of vinyl as an LP. So I think you
yeah,
can give them a pass on that as well. I Can't Quit You Baby doesn't really do much for me. Uh,
yeah,
and then they finish off with a great track actually, How Many More Times,
yeah. It's good, John.
which is a fantastic way to
Yeah,
end
I
their
mean, as a debut album, it's pretty solid, you know. And you have to remember as well, they released Zeppelin 2 in the same year. So as they were formed as a band, they obviously built up their repertoire of songs. And then they had more original material than to play onto their second album. So it's you can always call it like it's a fantastic EP.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
really,
yeah. Like pretty
yeah,
much. And I think when they were touring this album, they were writing the songs for Led Zeppelin too. And
yeah,
because they've gotten so much stick on the first album of robbing other people's songs, they decided the next album we're going to write all our own songs. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's kind of what happened. But
yeah.
look, marks out of 10, Eric. What would you give it?
Oh, for me, it's a solid debut album. I can't really fault it. There's, you know, a few songs in there that seem filler, but it's still a fantastic listen. For me, it's an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's an 8 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
8 out of 10. Fun story as well about the album art. So you kind of get that introduction there about the Keith Moon saying, "Oh, that'll go down like a lead balloon." So
yeah.
that's this is the famous photo. It's the Hindenburg ship.
Mm.
It's actually some amazing material you can get on YouTube now of that event actually happening. It's amazing. But Yeah, that's the kind of the theme that they went with. Up to Hindenburg, crashing and going down, and they wanted to use something that was it was like an impactful, and it go up like a combustion, So
Yeah.
that's just the story behind the album art there. It's pretty cool.
And of course on vinyl it looks so much better because it was printed originally in vinyl, so it's meant to be that size. So I
Yeah,
have it on CD here. It's a remastered CD copy, digitally remastered 1994 by
yeah,
Jimmy Page. But again, you're not getting the um full impact. I think the back is actually very cool. I think that was on the original vinyl pressing on the back. That's the one
yeah.
you.
Probably not an original pressing to be honest. Now it's
Yeah,
yeah,
I
pretty
don't
cool.
know. I'd say, to be honest with you, I'd say an original pressing of this album is probably north of
Worth
about
your bob.
€5.
Yeah, worth your bob. Yeah,
Exactly. Right. Look, that's great. So that's Led Zeppelin 1. So we'll do it all again next week for Led Zeppelin 2, yeah?
Led Zeppelin 2, baby.
We're going deep now, so I hope you stick with us, guys. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Bye for now.